Patrick McNeil back here with you at the intermission and joined now by Cape Breton Eagles billet coordinator Ashley Ryan. Ashley started as co-billet coordinator at the beginning of the year. Now she's fully in charge. Ashley, how did you become to be the billet coordinator of the Eagles?
I helped Charlene produce. She was the billet coordinator with it. I got on board with her really this year mostly and just loved doing it and everything. She decided to step down halfway through this year, so I took on the position.
A lot of people would probably think, okay, a billet coordinator puts players in homes, but what does the day-to-day responsibilities of this job look like?
Training camp is when it's the most, getting them in their beds and everything and finding billets, but it's more day-to-day. It's only if there's issues, which we're really lucky that there's never a whole lot to deal with. But it's just making sure when the coach sends the curfew to make sure that that gets out to the billets and everything and everybody's kept on track with what's going on.
You talk about training camp. That's interesting because the team obviously has an idea of who they want to be billets before the season starts, but you don't necessarily know which players are going to be on the team. Walk us through how you manage that at the beginning of the year, placing guys in homes. Is there a lot of shuttling around and whatnot?
There's definitely a lot of shuffling. I wasn't aware how much there was until this year doing it with Charlene. It's just kind of a picking and choosing who has a card, who doesn't, and you're moving around, and you always make the billets aware. Don't get too attached. This could change, which it does. Once there's cuts, you're moving constantly. Then you just hope that by the end that everybody's where they need to be. We hope not to move too much, but sometimes it happens.
You've been a billet yourself for a number of years, and through that, you've obviously developed an affinity for the Ottawa Senators organization with Drake Bathurst and Egor Sokolov coming through. How important is it and how essential is it really to have been a billet yourself before being a coordinator? Because I know Charlene had players in her house too.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to be. You definitely have to know what's going on and how things run and what's expected. To be able to help and support the billets, you definitely need to have a handle on what's going on as it is.
We talk about Egor Sokolov. Egor had a very extended season last year, I guess we could say, in terms of how long he was in Cape Breton. He only ended up leaving a few months ago. How much did you enjoy having him in the house? And what does that speak to the relationship that he was able to just continue living there even after the season was over?
Egor was a different situation with us, of course. Everybody gets close to their billets, but he became one of our own. When him and his parents made the decision for him to stay during the pandemic, it was just a given. We wouldn't have had it any other way. COVID was not the best situation for a lot, but I looked at it as we were lucky to get that extra time with him because we knew once he was going to wherever he was going that he'd be gone for good. I mean, it's only Ottawa. At least once COVID calms down, we can get there. Lots, but I look at that time as we were lucky to have that. He does too.
Also, a silver lining in that is Lucas Canning, who didn't get to play with Egor, but also has his own relationship with him now as a result of that.
Yeah, absolutely. They had what we thought would overlap as maybe just a couple of weeks. It ended up being 6 months that they got together.
At the beginning of the year, I know everybody in the CHL was asking questions about everything in terms of what was going to happen with COVID-19. Did that provide any challenges in terms of limitations, in terms of who could bill it because of pre-existing conditions or whatnot? How much of an obstacle was that?
It was a huge obstacle. The whole league was given a medical questionnaire to be filled out this year with COVID, which was completely understandable, but there was a lot that unfortunately then couldn't due to restrictions. That was some challenges that we faced right before training camp.
It might be too early to know the answer to this, I guess, but I assume the organization obviously tries their best to maintain good relationships, and it's possible those people may return to billeting in the future.
Yes, I hope so for sure.
Fingers are crossed, and it's just like everything else. We're just trying to get back to normal as much as we can.
Exactly.
Even aside from the pandemic, just matching a player to a home is a big thing. You want a player to have a good experience. You want billet parents to have a good experience. How does one match a player to a household?
We know the background of them. Brian McPherson is a really good help because he kind of gets the scoop and he knows the scoop with dealing with them he's the education coordinator. So he gets a background on them more so. So you just kind of have a feel of the kid, where they're coming from, how they are type thing. You don't always know. You just sometimes hope for the best, but we have amazing billets. It works out a lot.
If somebody wanted to get involved in billeting, I don't know how much of a need there'll be for that next year. How does somebody do that?
They can contact me at any time. I'd love to chat and we do a home visit and get them set up. Definitely will be for training camp next year. That's for sure.
Very good. And it is a very rewarding experience. Ashley can certainly speak to that firsthand, I'm sure. Appreciate all you're doing both as a billet and as billet coordinator. Thanks for telling us all about your day-to-day job with the Eagles.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Pat.
That's Ashley Ryan. She is the Cape Breton Eagles billet coordinator. Joining us here at the intermission, you're listening to McDonald Auto Hub, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 12-7, CJCB.